Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
We're coming to you guys live from Kasese, Malawi, the same area of the world and of Malawi where Yankho is actually shot. And we're just gonna, as I said, my name is John Tenney. I'm the director of photography and the co-director of the film Yankho, and this is my colleague Praises.
I'm a co-director of Yankho.
And the writer.
Yeah.
So she did a whole lot. She was also a voice actor in the film.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what your voice acting was?
Okay, basically, I helped in coming up with the script and then narrating the whole script.
Yeah, and so all of the narration, if you've already seen Yankho, that narration was Praises. And so she's got the wonderful enunciation and everything that comes with that. So yeah, we'll start with our kind of a first little prompt from Molly back in Texas. If you want to start by telling us what you thought of telling the story of the family, this family in Malawi. So yeah, maybe Praises, you could talk a little bit about how that story came about. And then what the process of kind of telling that story, but then also creating that story was like.
Okay, so I think the most part of it, it's the story of a woman and relations with family, because what we wanted to portray is the day in the life of a Malawian woman in a typical village of Manchondo. So what we wanted is...
And Manchondo's right next to Kasese, right? It's like,
yes,
30-minute walk.
Yeah. Neighboring villages. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we wanted to show people the world what life is like in a typical village of Manchondo.
Mm-hmm. So telling the story of the family, and then also how did we get to... So what really is exactly the story? Because it's a docu, right? That Yankho is a docu-fiction film. So while it is a documentary film, yes, about this family in Machondo village, there is some aspects that are not exactly documentary, but maybe you can explain what that looks like and how that writing came about, I guess.
Okay, so as I was saying, it is a story of Malawian woman in a typical village of Manchondo. And what we are trying to portray is this woman has high hopes in the future of her daughter Yankho. Unfortunately, it looks like her hopes are being laid down because what she is expecting from her daughter and what is happening is against her expectations. Mm-hmm. So, as John has said, most part, I should say all the actors that were there in the film were our program participants, which are involved in our various programs that we are implementing here.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there are also the same people from Machondo village, yes. Right? So that was, Nankoma in the story. I think her, I can't remember her real name. Koneta, right? And so that actually is her Koneta's real house.
Yes.
And most of those were her real kids.
Yeah.
And that was her real fire. So,
yeah.
Right. So so the actors in the movie are not professional actors; they're real people living their real lives. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe you could use that opportunity to talk about what the casting, picking them for these roles was like.
Okay, so basically we just invited various program participants from our film program, our agriculture program, and other programs. And then we just had to see how they can act.
Like auditions.
Yeah, small auditions. We gave them roles to act, and from there, that's how we came up with the actors. So, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So like she was saying, it is just people who are literally, they're people from the agriculture program or various beneficiaries. And so, but they're also while they're benefiting from Orant's programs, they're also, from the area and from these villages. And so the story really is mixing in their, real lives, to be able to tell what is, as Preta said, a story from Machondo village in Dowa, this district in Malawi. So why would you say it's important to tell this story? I think in my mind, the reason that we started talking about telling this story was we had done some simple videos in the past in 360 VR. And in 2021, we actually did kind of like a virtual world where we tried to introduce, tell people about what Malawi was like, right? And we were trying to kind of express, how do we explain what the water program does? And how do we explain, what it's like to live in a village like Kasese or like Machondo? And so this Yankho is really also about painting that picture of just kind of the day in the life of, somebody from that village. And actually I found the first script that we made the other day, the first printed one. And so the first script that we actually made, the title was something like A Day in the Life of a Woman in Machondo Village or something. And so it was really just meant to kind of tell a real story about somebody's, life there. And so I think we succeeded in doing that.
Yeah.
And so, another thing that we've kind of been asked, and was one of the things that we wanted to talk about, is, what's the importance of, did you have anything else to say about that? Sorry, about why would you say it's important to tell this story?
No, basically it's just part of other people from other parts of the world getting to relate to what happens in Kasese, in Malawi, in the life of a Malawian woman living somewhere in Machondo. So it is important not only for people outside Malawi, but maybe someone who is in Lilongwe, the capital city of Malawi, can also have a chance to relate to that story.
Right. And so share that aspect of, sharing Malawi and sharing what we're, what's happening here and what Malawi really is and what it's about, I think is kind of the key, point of that and why it was done. And so in what way would you say Yankho's story is relevant to the world? Oh, I guess that also answers that question. And it's kind of like this, it's not only a story, I guess, about Malawi and about the villages where Orant is working, but it's kind of an every person story, right? It's a woman's struggle, it's a struggle, it's her daughter's struggle, and it's a struggle of rural poverty. And so I think that's also an important aspect of relating that to the world. So the next question, is this the first story of its kind filmed in virtual reality in Malawi? Almost definitely. I don't know if there was any virtual reality filmed in Malawi besides us. There probably is, right? There's about 20 million people, and there's definitely some stuff going on in the country. But I don't think that there's many people who've used this technology before, and I don't think to tell this same kind of story. And once again, getting back to this aspect of the docudrama, is that it does allow you to tell a real story, but then also give it more of your own understanding elements, and it allows you to also be an artist and be an author and in some way be a poet, to be able to talk about this life that about, even though it is not exactly immediately somebody else's life. So it's really like a mixture of cultures and stories.
Yeah.
How would you say telling stories like these is changing the narrative about world poverty in Africa? Ooh, complicated one. Praises? this is kind of like your job as well, you know.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted maybe to highlight another part of the same question, is to say that much as we are trying to, there is a narration of poverty in Africa, in Malawi, in that story, that putting that aside, you can also, that the other part of it is that despite the poverty that is there, people are able to live a happy life. They still have hope. They are still fighting every day to get out of that poverty. So that's the first thing that I can say about it. And also, talking about changing the narrative about poverty in Africa, I would say it will also change people's perception on how they view and look at Africa, because whenever you hear a person talking of Africa, the first thing that comes to people's mind is just poverty. There is no joy, they have no peace, whatever. That, as you can see in the video, they are living a peaceful life despite all the problems that they have, despite the poverty that is there in the family. So, yeah, I think that's what I can say.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Just like an alternative to what is the standard story of, you know, starving child and whatever else. So just showing that there is, you know, it's not always the most horrible thing in the world, but it is, and people are still working towards coming out on the other end of it, right? So yeah, and I think that that's also a lot about what, you know, Orant really is about as well, is, you know, and I think, you know, you as our marketing person in Malawi, you kind of tell that story consistently, right? Which is, yes, guys, this is, you know, this is Malawi, this is what's going on, these are what our programs are doing, but at the same time, this is, you know, this is a step towards a further goal, right? There is a day when this won't be the reality, and I mean, who knows how long that will take, but it's a process, right? So, process of change. So we've got another question here. Yankho is the big picture story. Do you have plans to show individual programs? I would love to see the women making crafts. We have done some stuff like that before. We did some 360 videos about the programs, which was actually in that, in kind of like a virtual world that we made in 2021. And it was pretty cool. I think we definitely could do more stuff like that. And you know, kind of this goes back to the question though, a little bit of what's virtual reality's role in telling that story, right? How well does it tell that story? I think VR and, you know, 360 film works really, really well with documentary. I think it worked really well with docufiction, just because it tells so many angles of the same story, right? And you can, through a lot of recording, you can be able to tell a story in a whole lot of different ways. And so I think it could definitely work with more, you know, like reportage or just general, you know, program storytelling stuff. But yeah, and taking that, will there be more films in the future? What can we look forward to? I think so, definitely. I don't know, or I guess I would rather say I don't want to say anything definitive just yet in terms of what we're working on. We've got some big ideas. There's a couple of smaller, more accessible ideas that I think we'll probably have something interesting this year. And I think we will have something very interesting in a couple of years that's already kind of in the process. So yeah, there's a lot of cool material to work with. We've been inspired by just, you know, working on this and working on some other things. So definitely more films. What is filming in VR like? Were there any challenges? Ooh, yeah. There's a lot of little challenges, which, obviously with any kind of filming, there's going to be challenges with regards to, I don't know, with everything, right? With deciding what the way you want to edit shots, right? The way you're going to capture it in the first place. We were really, really constrained by time. We did the entire thing in 2 weeks, while also working basically our full-time other jobs during the day. So we would do shoots really early in the morning most of the time, because most of the film happens kind of earlier in the morning. And then also the afternoon ones, and then there's only really one that's during the day from the film. And then so it was just very crunched on how much time we could actually be shooting. But I think it worked out really well.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, there was definitely a couple. Low light is a really big challenge as well with VR. So I think we had a good. I think the opening scene with the fire, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite of the whole movie. So we really, played with this idea of being really limited with light. And so we also kind of make the viewer limited with light, which is a really fun experience, although it can be kind of scary in VR. But, it's like with anything, whenever you work with the weak points, then you're also able to kind of create some especially strong or interesting points, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a challenge like any other. There's some stuff to be overcome. But wonderful, definitely a very cool experience.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. What's the best way to watch? The best way to watch Yankho now that it is the public premiere has officially started. The best way that I would recommend it is by going on a VR headset and watching it on the YouTube app. You can just find it by searching Yankho VR film on YouTube, and it should show up. It should be the first one. And if you don't have a VR headset, that is okay. You can easily watch it. Right there's the link to the movie that is now available. And if you don't have a VR headset, no sweat. You can watch it on your phone. You can watch it on your iPad. You can watch it on anything that has access to YouTube. On the computer, you will to look around. You will actually use the mouse and kind of like click on a different spot and then drag to look where you want to see. On your phone, you'll actually just have it up and you'll be looking at your screen. And then by looking in different places, that's how you'll see the kind of the 360 surrounding video. So there's a lot of really different ways to view it. But also with headphones is nice because the audio is spatial audio. So you can, whenever somebody is standing next to you, you hear them like they're right next to you. Whenever something's in front of you, you hear it in front of you. Whenever something's behind you, you hear it behind you. And so sometimes you'll hear something and be like, oh, wait, there's something going on behind me. And so it's definitely the more immersive of the experience, the better. So yeah, anybody have any comments, questions, concerns? Or we will let you guys go ahead and watch Yankho. I know that's what we'll be doing. Maybe we'll do a react video. I don't know if we need to do that, but yeah, it should be live. So leave your comments there and let us know what you guys think. Any other final comments from the audience, Braces?
Nothing more. Just enjoy watching Yankho.
Exactly. Yeah. Enjoy watching Yankho, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in from wherever you are in the world. Once again, we're coming to you guys from Kasese. I just arrived a couple hours ago here. And so, yeah, nice, well-organized, go team. So thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful weekend, and we hope you enjoy.